Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Alright, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. And as you can see, we're having an interesting morning this morning. As usual, there's always something. And today, it didn't disappoint because every day there's something different. And I would think, and I should have thought of this earlier, we need to have cameras in the studio of me getting ready just before the show, and it would be like bloopers or outtakes like you used to have in movies, and you can see, when people would screw up or whatever. It would be very hilarious for a lot of people to see what actually happens when you simply go to plug in a device. It's last minute, you just reach over, you plug in the device, and it won't go in, and then the device falls off the desk and then unplugs two other devices. And then you have to go and scramble and pick up those devices. And it's like watching an old time, Laurel and Hardy or Three Stooges, but it's just one person that this is happening to. Anyways, I'm going to do it at some point. I think it would be worth it. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on CKLU 96.7 FM. It's the miracle that is Sudbury News Talk. The fact that we actually are able to come on weekday mornings between 7:30 and 8:30 to deliver this show is a miracle. And just if you would see what happens before the show, you would say, yeah, I agree. It's I don't know how this is able to technologically go ahead every morning, but somehow it does. And we have a good time doing it. There's a lot to cover today. As I said, we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio. We're also streaming at cklu.ca. You can click on the Radio Player Canada app or download the Radio Player Canada app and take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're also streaming in video on Facebook at facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow us and all that stuff because that way... And speaking of miracles, it is a miracle that we're still being able to broadcast in light of Bill C 18, Bill C 11, the Online News Act, and all that stuff. It is a miracle. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, but mainly comment, because this is your show and where you're able to contribute to this conversation on your station. And we really appreciate you being here each and every morning. We've started getting a really great group of people that come on and comment, and it adds to the conversation, keeps me on my toes, because a lot of times I'm not sure of something because I'm only facilitating this conversation. And one of the viewers and listeners will be able to just come on and give the facts, or correct me because I have been wrong a time or two, or just said something that said it was Monday when it was Tuesday, or said the Sudbury Wolves were playing home and really they were playing away. Like little things like that when you're speaking on the fly, you tend to do. And I don't care who you are, you will do that. If you did what I'm doing, you would also do the same thing, because it's almost impossible to, have 52 weeks of shows in a year and never make a mistake, right? So, but anyways, not here to talk about that kind of stuff. We're here to talk about news, weather, and sports for Greater Sudbury and our region, our province, country, and our world, and try and make sense of the world that we're living in. one issue or one story at a time. So let's just dive right in. We'll get into our weather segment. We'll be back with a little update on the Sudbury Wolves, how they did over the weekend. And we'll have news headlines, the things I talked about yesterday. We didn't have a show yesterday. I had a very important meeting I had to attend to that went, as far as I can see, well. And we'll be able to talk about things happening over the weekend. There's quite a few things. The Sioux is declared Canada's first smart city, 100% smart grid. We've had a tragedy where 2 people have been found deceased. We'll have more on that. And the traffic situation in Sudbury with the cameras coming, the speed cameras. Also, they've brought down the speed limit in many areas in the city. We'll look at that as well, and let you know, if you're not already aware, where these places are when you're driving. For example, I was on Dominion Drive the other day and I noticed it was 40 for the whole length of Dominion Drive in the valley. And that's quite a long straight stretch of rural road to be brought to such a low, what used to be a school zone speed. And now it's, now school zones are brought down to 30. So what's going on in Sudbury? What's the reason for this, these changes? And does it have anything to do with the Sioux and the smart grid? Is it just, are they connected in any way? Well, who knows? We'll talk about that and much, much more when we come back after the weather and sports. Stay tuned. And currently it's 0. It's cloudy. And today there'll be a mix of sun and cloud, high of +4. Tonight, partly cloudy. Temperature steady near +3. Wednesday, mainly cloudy, clearing near noon. And high of 8. So it's getting a little warmer compared to what we've had, right? So again, a mix of sun and cloud. High of 8 tomorrow. Thursday, cloudy, high of 8. 60% chance of showers or flurries on Friday, high of 4. 30% of precipitation in the form of rain or flurries on Saturday. And mix of sun and cloud, -1 on Sunday. 1 degree mix of sun and cloud on Monday. Not sure what the satellite's doing here. I think that's an older view of it, but that's pretty much it. There's just a lot of cloud activity over northern Ontario, period. And so that's where you get all those chances of precipitation and mix of sun and cloud depending on the day. So let's see. There you go. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with sports, news headlines, your comments, and much more right after this. The Sudbury Wolves just came back from a pretty grueling road trip, 3 games in 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And the first game was really great. They played against Niagara. They won 7-2. And they must have been a little bit tired as they crossed the border to play the Erie Otters the next day. They had a 3-1 lead in that game. Ended up losing the game in overtime, got 1 point out of it. So they were 3 points for 2 games. And then they just didn't have enough gas in the engine when they visited Brantford to the Bulldogs. First time in many years, I think since the 1980s when Brantford last had a team. Anyways, it says here on the schedule that the score was 4-0, but I know it was 4-1. We ended up getting a goal near the end of the game. But anyways, we lost that game 4-1. So we ended up 3 points in 3 games, but we really should have had that win in Erie as well. So we should have had 4 points, but it is what it is. It's what happens in any sport. And so good luck with the Wolves. When they're in action this Wednesday, I think, against the Sioux Greyhounds. That's a interesting, just an away game on a Wednesday. That's not the norm, but they'll be in the Sioux on Wednesday, then back here on Friday to face Peterborough Petes, and then on Sunday, North Bay. We're off to North Bay to face them on Sunday. Puck drop will be 2 in the afternoon for that game. Anyways, you can catch all the games right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. So switching gears here now. Let's see. Got a few people joining us this morning. Thanks for being here, everyone, by the way. Good morning, Judy, first to the party on Facebook. Vin, morning. Thanks for being with us. Monique, good morning, Sudbury, with a smiley emoji. Or is that the one with, no, there's a hand clap emoji. Belinda says, good morning. Never try to destroy someone's life with a lie when yours could be destroyed with the truth. Always making us think. That's great. First thing in the morning. Marianne, good morning, everyone. From Barrie, hand clap emoji. Thanks for joining us, Marianne. And liked and shared, as usual. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Denise, good morning, everyone. And another Denise, because there can be more than one Denise, for sure. Blessings from Espanola this fine morning. Either a sunshine or a smiley emoji, either way. It's positive. Belinda says all this strife is a character builder. By this time, you must have lots of character. Okay, yeah, I think I was talking about all the challenges I've had getting ready for the show. Yeah, you know what? If it doesn't kill you, for sure. And you just keep persisting. I think my father taught me that as a youngster, getting me into hockey really early, and had the idea of me making the NHL, and everything was looking towards that up until I was 15 years old, for sure. That was the trajectory I was on. You learn that you have to keep going at whatever your goal is or your dreams are. And if it's a good goal and it's a good dream and it makes sense, some people, you also have to know if it's possible or not. If it's possible, even though it seems highly improbable, if it's possible and you know you have the ability to be able to make this thing happen, then persistence will definitely pay off. Never giving up. Sharing is caring, Denise says. That's true. Good morning, everyone, from Collingwood. Oh, ever cool. Liette joining us from Collingwood. Hopefully the things we're talking about on the show will also pertain to life there in Collingwood. Beautiful place, by the way. Close to Barrie, where Marianne joins us from each and every morning. So also good morning, Sudbury. That's from Jerome. Thanks, Jerome. And I believe it was you who sent a couple videos in which I might be sharing one of those today, hopefully, if there's time. Denise says, Ottawa migrants, flares and fire, Salvation Army. Okay, you shared a link there, so hopefully everyone's able to see what you mean there. I'm not aware. And Belinda says, I would like to hear comments from people from the Sioux. Trudeau declared it's a smart city. Why is there no feedback from the people? I don't trust a word out of his mouth. Well, I know when I shared it here, there was a lot of comments about it from people in Sudbury, and I think they shared it with people in the Sioux as well. And I think we had a lot of comments. If you go to our Facebook page where that story is, and you can read all the comments there, tons of people weighing in on it. Maurice, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Smiley emoji, much appreciated. and Leandre. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I know when Nick was on, she had no problem. She's able to. She's basically our French correspondent or our French uh, guest always. Anyways, your vote liberal, and bad things happen. Cameras go up, speed limits go down. Okay, so if you vote liberal, these types of things happen. Okay, and I kind of agree with you on there are political ideologies, and a lot of times we lean certain ways. But Mike says, "Great Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us, Mike. We'll be talking a little bit about the speed situation in Sudbury, and I know that's near and dear to your heart. We talked about that on the show with you and other counselors as well." Marianne says, yes, 20 minutes from Collingwood. Ever cool. Yes. And Liette, born and raised in Northern Ontario. I'm a Northern girl. We are all the same. 15-minute city boat, no matter where one lives. Okay, we're all in this 15-minute city boat, no matter where one lives. Globalization. I know this 15-minute city has been a huge topic for people. And again, the idea of Trudeau declaring the Soo a smart city and us bringing in cameras to automatically give people tickets if they're speeding, and then lowering the speed limits in school zones to 30 and 40 on traffic areas where usually, on rural roads, putting it, at 40. I don't know if that's sending a message or not. I'm just not sure. It seems to be a little on the heavy-handed side in terms of traffic. Anyways, it's early in the morning. Traffic management, if you will, for lack of another word that can't come to my brain at this time of the morning. Denise, morning. What happening with the Congo? We know this carbon tax is not green. Yes, carbon tax. We'll talk a little bit about that too. That's definitely on our minds these days. Marianne says, absolutely. Okay, they're neighbors. I also can't tell when people are having a conversation with each other on my switcher, so I apologize for that. Trudeau declares 15-minute cities, just like he declares he's an actual prime minister. Okay. So Monique says the speed limits are the beginning of the end, the complete control of our lives. And again, I hear you on that one. It's, if a speed limit is 50 and you bring it down to 40, like, what is that saying? I don't know. And you're doing it on a mass level too. Like, there's many, we'll talk about which streets in a moment. And then you'll put cameras in certain areas that we're not even sure how they're going to work at this point. We need some clarity on it. We're told that it's not going to ding you if you're 1 kilometer over. Let's just go to the story, I guess, since we're already talking about it and it's actually on people's minds. Absolutely collecting data and surveillance of everyone. Okay, that's what a lot of people feel. That it's just, there always needs to be, look, if you're in government and you want to do something, it's not always the reason why you bring it in that you're telling people is the real reason that it's there for. And there's many, many things in history that show that. They say, let's just take the medical assistance in dying, for example. One example, right? At first, it's brought in to say it's only for people who are going through excruciating pain near the end of their life. And instead of seeing and just, having them prolonged pain and giving them morphine and having them be on a bed and take up hospital space, and they don't want to be here anyways. And it's just, it's humane, let's say, to offer them medical assistance in dying. And so that's the argument that was made. Now, I knew right away, as soon as that went through, then other people would say, yeah, but what about this person? And what about that person? And what about them? And what about, and that's exactly what's happened. And then if you look 10 years down the road, it'll be like you go through your medical clinic drive-through. I'm having a bad day. Can I just get that made thing? Yeah, here, swipe your health card. Boom, you're gone. They have an incinerator in the back. They take you, and you're done. And you say, well, that sounds conspiratorial or whatever. But if you really look at where MAID started and where it is now, we talked about it on the show. It's already headed there. Canada is a world leader with the amount of people that we have. It's like the third cause of death or something in a lot of places. It's like crazy. So, and they're offering it to veterans. We know that for sure. Like veterans they call in and they're getting support, for the traumas they've experienced in war. And the person on the other line who's supposed to be helping them saying, well, you can just choose medical assistance in dying. It's an option. And they're like, what? I'm not calling you to, have you offer me the chance to off myself, So again, that's what we see. So these types of things, people are a little leery about when they start what's for your safety. It's for you to be safe. Well, okay, I get it, but it's already safe, right? Let's look at other countries where there's no speed limits on certain roads, and let's look at their statistics. Are there higher accidents when there's no speed limits and people can go whatever speeds they want? Well, I already know the data, and that no, there's no more accidents on those roads than we have on ours. If anything, they're less. So are we experiencing more and more accidents here in the city? Downtown, there's a lot of pedestrians being hit, but I don't think that's to do with speeding. I think that's to do with people just wandering around, not obeying traffic laws as pedestrians and wandering into the streets. Then all of a sudden they get hit. And that's what's happened. So I don't understand the reasoning. Are accidents on the rise? Are people dying from accidents in Sudbury? Is it an epidemic? Like we've just declared the gender-based and intimate partner violence an epidemic? Accidents, are they an epidemic in Sudbury? So I'd like to see the data. I think that's, again, as politicians, we need to, you have a job to sell what you're doing to the people, and you should be honest. It should be for the people. Now, people get very skeptical, and for good reason, over time, on why these things are being done in their communities and where are these things coming from. And if they're coming from virtuous, true places of honesty and sincerity, that needs to be well spelled out for people, right? And you need to dispel the ideas of what other entities, their goals for cities are, and let them know, because other than that, they're not going to trust you anymore. Because it's a hard thing to do. But anyways, so my hat's off to any city councillor these days who have to find their way through all of this stuff, because there are agendas at play. There's globalist agendas. We're moving into a global world. Well, who's going to be the king of the hill at the end of the day in the global world, right? So there are agendas out there. And in order to accomplish globalism at its, whatever that means, cities also need to go along with it. Cities also have to be a part of a global society. And and all we have to do is look at what some of those global agendas are for our cities. And if you look at the UN, they have very openly put out their goals for the world. It's called Agenda 2021 and Agenda 2030. agenda. They got it right in the name of the document. They have an agenda. It's not like an agenda at a meeting. Well, similar, like, well, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to cover. This is what we want to accomplish. So you just have to read that because you can read it. They're public with it. Just read what they want and see if what the decisions we're making in our city are falling in line with their agenda, and why the heck are we following their agenda anyways? Who are they to tell us in Sudbury what to do and why? Why do we need to go along with that? That's what I'm asking. Maybe we do. Maybe it's better to do that. Are we having that discussion? That's all. Maybe it's a great thing to just give up all your civil liberties and everything that you enjoy as a Canadian and all this stuff and give it over to unelected bodies that are going to run the world. Maybe that's in our best interest to do that. We don't know. Let's have the discussion. Right? And in the meantime, what the heck's up with all this changing of the speed limits and cameras and all this stuff here in our city? That's what people are wondering. Anyways, many people are. Many people are like, good, finally. And that's why being a city councilor is not an easy thing, because you do feel pressure from citizens who say there's people speeding on my road all the time. Well, you live on a on a busy road, possibly. You possibly live on a busy road. And when you bought the house or whatever, you probably knew that. I'm just thinking to myself, right? Kind of thinking to myself out loud. And then you go and say, well, why can't you drive slower on my road? And, just like we shared on the other show, there's a police officer who pulled over a bunch of people for different things. And that's what happens. And if our police are too busy dealing with the opioid crisis downtown and the homeless situation, let's do something about that. Maybe they shouldn't be spending all their time doing that. Maybe they should be spending their time doing what police officers should be doing. That's maintaining peace, maintaining traffic, and giving people tickets if they're going too fast. And if you want to take a chance, you get it. So Mike says, I have been using data to support my decisions on cameras. On a quieter back road, with no sidewalks, which is rated for 60 kilometers an hour, I was receiving many complaints. We completed a traffic study, and it turned out that numerous times during the daytime, they recorded a number of vehicles traveling in excess of 100 kilometers per hour. So speed limit is approximately 60, but persons traveling over 100 kilometers an hour. Cool. So let's say we reduce the speed to 40 and people still go 100 an hour. Right? So what happens then? Well, we're going to put cameras everywhere. And we're going to force everyone to obey. You're going to be forced. Does that sound like anything to you? If you force someone to obey, sure, obeying is right, and we should. And we have laws for that reason. But I think there's a line there when you force someone. Imagine I forced you to be nice. How does that work out usually? And I force you to be polite. Right? So anywhere where there's forcing to do anything ever, there's the line of being free in a free country with laws and being law abiding, choosing to do that or not. And if you break that law, you're putting yourself in a position to have to face consequences. But if you're forcing people to obey the law, that is in a whole other category of itself. And it's going into what's called communism. That's a communistic way of governing, forcing people to do things other than giving them the choice to obey or not. And if they don't obey, there's a possible price to pay. Now you say, yeah, but if you get caught, and a lot of people don't get caught. Well, okay. That's life. How many things have you done in your life that you could have been caught for, but you weren't? and you're thanking the good Lord that you're not in jail right now for something you did by accident or something happened. When you start forcing everybody, it doesn't lead, because nobody's perfect, and it's not going to lead to anything good. Believe me. We've gone down that road already in the world, in many countries, and there's a lot of examples of that. We need to reduce the speed limit. We will keep 60 and look to enforcement. We will keep 60. Well, we've already reduced a lot of roads, as we'll talk about speed limits. And now we have cameras that are forcing people. And then there's some real, anyways, we'll get into that in a second. I think, okay, so I'm just going to let people's comments come up here. I think you're meaning to say they should force people to drive sober and obey the law. So they're talking about breathalyzers in cars now, where you have to breathe into your thing in order for your car to start. That kind of thing. Like, what if the city says, yeah, we're going to start that in our city? You got to have a breathalyzer before you get in your car. That stops people that forces people. That's something that's out there. It's a technology, and people talk about it, and it could be implemented, just like people talk about cameras can be everywhere, monitoring everything you do all the time and stopping everyone from even jaywalking and just giving you a ticket if you jaywalk. Isn't that great? Think of all the money a city could make with that kind of technology. That's there. People are saying things like that. And if we adopt them and we say, yeah, you know what, this is a great idea. Where do these things lead? So there are cameras right now issuing tickets for you if you're speeding in certain areas, and we're saying it's to keep ourselves safe. Usually these types of things are brought in because they're going to keep you safe. You usually lose liberties, and you're promised safety and security for those liberties. The liberty is there's a law, I can obey it or not, and if I don't, I pay the consequences. Other than that, we start becoming a police state. A police state. Because you got to force everyone to do good. You got to force everyone to obey. And good luck with that one. We always know where that leads. And we're at the beginning stages of it now. It's easier to stop it before it starts than it is let it happen and then try and reverse things. Believe me, you're just going to have to take my word on that one. So let's see here. So let's go over this. Important information about the speed enforcement cameras that will be in operation November and December. So we're not sure exactly in November. We're already halfway through November. I haven't seen any signs yet or any cameras up yet. So I don't know, Mike, if you know any dates. We're told mid-November, which we're at right now. And Main Street and Valcarin between Justin Street and the lights at the highways. So we're the MR80, the lights there. That's a pretty big stretch to have cameras there. But you can make the argument, even though it's a main street. There are a couple schools there, including a high school. So I'm not sure. They already have the speed zones there for schools. But again, it's a pretty main road there. We'll get a lot of tickets for sure. A lot of money will be generated from that. The city of Greater Sudbury is on schedule to have 6 new speed enforcement cameras running by mid-November, exactly by mid-November to early December. So we're already at mid-November. It's the 14th today. The cameras will be moved to different locations about every 4 months. One of the requirements of automated enforcement is that signs must be posted 90 days in advance to let people know they're coming. So yeah, no, that's interesting. I drove on that stretch the other day and I was looking for signs and I never saw any. So that means it would be there mid January at the earliest. So I'm wondering when if the timeline is still on track, or see many comments coming in to make sure they're getting up on the screen. Okay, I did. All right. So the city expects the cameras will generate around $1.1 million in revenue based on the 20,000 tickets being issued and paid in the first year. The starting locations for the speed cameras will be Bellevue Avenue between Picard Street and Ralph Street, Algonquin Road between Maurice Street and Field Street, Falconbridge Road between Donnelly Drive and Church Street, Main Street and Valcairn, we talked about that one already, between Justin Street and MR 80, Municipal Road 80, Hillcrest Drive between Bryan Street and Mikola Road, and then Gary Avenue between LaSalle Boulevard and Madison. So how they work. So when the vehicle passes a speed camera, the radar system within the speed camera measures the speed of the vehicle. Where the vehicle is traveling over the speed limit, the camera takes a picture of the license plate. The speed camera records 1, the speed of the vehicle, 2, license plate and vehicle, 3, date and time of the offense, 4, direction of travel. The information and photograph are recorded and stored within the unit. So the photo radar is issuing the ticket. A provincial offenses officer receives the information received from the photo radar camera and confirms that the vehicle was speeding. Where the officer believes the vehicle was speeding, the officer mails a speeding ticket to the registered address of the owner. So photo radar penalties. Photo radar ticket penalties are in the same category as parking tickets, meaning 1, it's a fine only, 2, no demerit points, 3, does not appear on driving record. The conviction for speeding goes against the vehicle, not against the driver. So enforcement of photo radar tickets. So you're wondering, hey, what do I do if I get one? Will I go to jail if I don't pay it? As of 2022, the provincial government has removed the fee to renew vehicle license plates, right? So subsequently, for persons who decide not to pay the fine, there is no current enforcement other than a late fee. But upon selling your vehicle, and the reason why I bring up they don't require you to pay anymore a fee for your renewal of your plates. If you have one of these tickets and you go to sell your vehicle, you won't be able to get new plates before you pay these tickets. So this is a way of enforcing them. I think by law, I think there's a law, and I'm going to look into this. I have to ask some of my legal friends, where they can't really enforce this yet. It's not really a law that you can enforce because it's so new of a thing. And I think there's some iffy things with it. So when they're telling you how it's enforced, like I called the city one time when I was picking up my daughter and I was just driving with the traffic, and I ended up going through a red light with the driver beside me because I was in a daze. My daughter went through a trauma and we're coming back from the hospital, and I got the ticket in the mail. And then I was like, well, where's the deadline for this ticket? It has no deadline when it needs to be paid. I called and I said, there's no deadline. They said, yeah, there's no deadline. But I was like, what? You're going to get another thing in the mail with red typing on it, and then you can pay it then. And I'm like, this is just weird. It doesn't sound like this is, legit or something. It's just there's some weird thing about it, legally speaking. So I'm not sure if it's 100% legal. It's like if everyone goes along with it, it's legal in a way, right? If everyone goes along with it, I'm not sure, because it just seemed, look, when I get a ticket, it has a date on it. If it's not paid by this date, then you get a, whatever, a late fee. They can take away your license. I don't know, whatever things. But there's something's up with this I'm just not sure. We'll look into it more. Get some clarification on the legalities of it and what happens if you don't pay them. And fighting them, like how do you fight them? Is it the same? They got you on photo radar or whatever. How do you fight that? Yeah, we're just in it. This is brand new. We're not sure what's happening. I think we should stop it before it starts. Myself, I think anything with being surveyed, just look at go on YouTube and say China surveillance and social credit score. And if you're wondering, like, what happened with MAID when we were first told that it's only for people that are going through excruciating pain with, they're going to die anyways and all this. And now, as of this spring, it's going to be available to youth who suffer from depression. Like your son or daughter could be depressed. They go to the doctor and they say, I'm experiencing depression. I'm so depressed. The doctor says, well, you can end it all right now and all your problems go away. And they don't come back to your house and you're like, where did Johnny go? Oh, and you call the medical clinic. Sorry, we're not able to divulge the information, what happened to Johnny because it's confidential. And you're the parent. And it sounds really bizarre, but that's where it's headed in the spring already with MAID. That's where it's led to. So where are all these cameras and things? Where does it end? Where does it end? Every street has a camera on it. Every street. And then if it works for this, hey, what about all the other laws that people are breaking? Like, why don't we just put cameras in your house? You're probably breaking a law in your house too. It's probably dangerous to somebody. Maybe you're developing a plan to do something in your house. We need to catch you before it happens. You're going to do something really violent or something. We need to put cameras in everyone's houses and stop people from being able to choose to keep a law or break it. Because that's where we're at right now. There's no more choice. You're not going to be able to, you're going to be punished no matter what. You're forced to keep this law. You're forced to obey. Right? So let's just let that sink in for a while. You're being forced to obey. And now with the Soo, they're Canada's first smart city, right? So now they're the Internet of Things. Now everything is going to be connected. So easy to have something like what we're talking about right now. Everything's smart. Everything is on this grid. What does that even mean? Why are we moving? Why does Justin Trudeau think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread? To have like a smart city. Like what are his plans? Why was he there in the Soo? What does this have to do with him and his plans as a prime minister of the country? Why does he want the Soo to be a smart city? Hey, the Soo wants to go smart, and he's sitting there eating his breakfast, his bagel, watching the news, and he gets a text, the Soo's gone smart. Whoa, that's neat. No, I think he had something to do with it. I think he's there cutting a ribbon, knowing that was part of one of his initiatives that he's had. And that's why he's there. He's announcing it. He's like, look what we've done. We've made a smart city. Why does he care about a smart city? What does that have to do with Justin Trudeau? Let's just look at some of that right now when he was in the Soo. And some people say, and I'm of the same camp as I have a hard time listening to him. Like, anyways, it is what it is. So, but here we go. Here he is in Sault Ste. Marie announcing a smart city. He's so proud of everybody. What does it mean? What does smart mean? Why does it need to be smart? We'll hear Justin Trudeau anyways from the horse's mouth announcing it.
Rob, thank you for showing me around the facilities and the amazing team here. Mayor Shoemaker, Matt, thank you for all your leadership on this as well. It is great to be here in this extraordinary city, which is the meeting point of two great lakes, but also the meeting point of two great countries. And the way we work together, the way we demonstrate the path towards the future is really, really important. And I got to say, having spent so much time over the past hour with young people who are here to see what their parents have been doing and their grandparents have been doing here. I got to tell you, it is exciting to see you here. And I'll be honest with you, I'm here for exactly the same reason you are. To see the amazing work that your parents have been doing. Because what they've been doing here at PUC matters, and doesn't just matter for you, doesn't just matter for the future of this community, it matters for the future of Canada. The leadership that the Soo has shown, the leadership that PUC has shown in moving towards being the first community in Canada with a fully smart grid is enormous. And the fact that you did it in a way that is actually bringing down costs to consumers, to homeowners across the city, is and should be an inspiration to communities right across the country. Because right now, I'll admit it, kids, the world is a pretty complicated and sometimes scary place. We have big geopolitical factors, conflict, challenges around supply chain. It means getting things here from all our partners overseas. But it's also a complicated place because of climate change, because of anxiety about everything changing so fast, that people are worried about the future and about whether there's going to be success for them in the future. And a lot of what leaders and governments need to do is reassure people, is show people that not only is the future going to be bright, but it's going to have a great place for you and the families you're going to be building in this community and across the country. And taking steps like this, where the federal government stepped up to support partners here in the Soo, to make the investments necessary to leave this community better off, more resilient, more able to adapt to the challenges that we know we're going to be facing in the coming years, but also able to draw on the opportunities that are coming. Algoma Steel switching towards electric arc, that's a huge thing. It's also going to require an awful lot of electricity to replace that coal. And as a community and as a country, we have to make sure we're getting the very best and the maximum out of our renewable electricity, our hydro, our power sources that are going to be cleaner and getting us to a net zero. Part of that is making sure that our cities can respond to that, and that's exactly what has been done here. It's really, really important to see that what was done here can and should be done right across the country and indeed around the world. Because that's what...
So bingo. So federal dollars, we partnered with the Soo, so you can tell right there his fingerprints are all over it. Right? And this is what should be done in every city across. So this is the federal government's initiative. It doesn't come from the cities. We talked a little bit about the UN. Go look up Agenda 2021. Go look up Agenda 2030. If you don't, then you really can't respond to the idea that maybe there's global fingers in our municipalities wanting certain things to be certain ways for certain reasons. And what are those reasons? We don't know. But are we following their agenda in any way, shape, or form in our cities? Right here, Justin Trudeau just said he partnered with the Soo to make this happen. So yes, it's a federal initiative. So the federal government wanted the Soo to be a smart city and gave them money to do that. And he wants every city in Canada to be the same. But he doesn't say anything about why. He talks in very generalities. I don't know any specifics of how this is going to be better. It's just going to create more opportunities. It's going to be greater. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. He should have been in sales. He should have been a used car salesman, not a part-time drama teacher, because he's really good at it. Saying a lot with saying nothing, because I really don't know what it means to be a smart city. Do you? After listening to Justin Trudeau talk, or let's read the news and see what exactly this means, that the Soo is going to be a smart city. Is it going to save? What's it going to save people money? Yeah, it's going to be more efficient. The Algoma Steel is going to need a lot more renewable energy as they get off of coal, right? But is that even possible? Let's look at other countries that tried it, like Germany. Wow, they're going right back. They're the biggest coal buyer in the world right now because it didn't work for them. Well, how's it going to work? Tell us this. Like, tell us how it didn't work in other countries, but it's going to work here. Like, what's the difference of what we're doing? We're not hearing that. You're just a sales guy with our money going around giving it to cities for your agenda. I don't even know what that really is. Be clear on what it is, why you're doing it, how it's being done, how it's impacting people. What are some of the bad sides to it? What could go wrong? Maybe it's an experiment. We're going to see how it goes. It might not be 100%. Maybe I'd like to hear that. Maybe we're going to try this here as an experiment and look at the good, bad, and the ugly of how things go. And if it goes good, he's going ahead no matter what. Imagine, wow. Can you imagine he's your business partner? Yeah, we're just going to buy all these things. We're going to invest in all this stuff. Yeah, but we didn't even do a feasibility study on it yet. Who cares? We're just going ahead with everything. Right? So it is what it is. You have to ask, why is he so stoked on this? What is it? What's in it for him? What is this? Kind of thing. These are the questions we have. Do we have the answers for them? No. We have questions. It would be great if he would answer them because he's the guy heading it up, and that would be wonderful so we can know. But we don't have this information, unfortunately, and we don't have enough time to continue to talk about it because we're out of time. So with that, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll pick up where we left off tomorrow on the show. We really appreciate all your comments. Appreciate those who have been on. Thanks for joining us. For those that are new, we talk about things to do with Sudbury, the area, the country, the world, and something that everyone could probably relate to. So thanks for being with us. We'll see you same time, same place, God willing, tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. We'll be back with more questions and hopefully maybe trying to get some answers tomorrow and each weekday morning. Thanks for being with us. Have a great and safe Tuesday, everyone. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.